Let's take a look here. Any questions
Yes.
about your paper?
Yes. Well, I made the changes that you observed, and I add my thesis statement, but like my work is not like I am stating that something is right. Like I want to find out how the teachers use the Facebook groups. So no sé cómo debería de ir,
All right.
because I'm not like stating, but I want to.
So because teachers want to communicate more with students, Facebook should be implemented. You have two examples here, or is this?
Oh, it's because I had two research questions and I didn't know
Okay.
which one should I.
All right. So because teachers.
And I also add a section in which I talk about integrating Facebook into the classroom, because one of my research questions talk about it, but I didn't. No lo había escrito, so I searched for articles in my section. And also I have this question because I didn't know how to citate from an article, and I read on the internet that you should cite like on the article, but I don't know how to.
So I want to research about Facebook groups, but I mentioned some general aspects of.
Oh no, está más arriba creo.
Okay, all right. So let me take a look here. So okay, how does a teacher use Facebook? Okay, how does Facebook use? All right, so your literature review, you talk about Facebook in general, right? Or are you just going to talk about?
Yes. Well, at the beginning I talk about Facebook in general to introduce the Facebook group, but I mostly talk about the Facebook group.
Okay. Okay. And your research is going to be primarily about Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not using Facebook groups, then you're not interested.
No, I cannot
Okay.
interview the teacher.
Okay.
Facebook groups.
Okay.
And on top.
I'm sorry. And you do think you can find teachers that are using Facebook groups? Because I'm just thinking. Honestly, I don't know. If it's very common, fine. But I don't want you to have a problem to say, oh, I have all these teachers that use Facebook, but nobody uses Facebook groups.
Well, because like during the review, I have a lot of teachers that have created Facebook groups for us, like Carla, Carmen, and Antonio.
Okay.
So I was thinking to interview them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure. So.
And I have another comment from you.
All right. I'm sorry. Let's go back here first.
Okay.
Let me look at the thesis statement now. Have you had a chance to look at the argument, that link in week 2 where I talk about developing an argument? If you go into modules in week 2, I provide a lot of information, and basically everything that I'm going to talk about, most of what we talk about today, is coming from this information here, where I talk more in detail about how to develop an argument. Think of your literature review basically as a big essay, like an argument essay. You are, in a sense, building an argument, and you're trying to state a position, in this case, the use of Facebook groups for language learners of some kind. So I just want to bring this to your attention here. I think it's worth your time to go through here, and I talk about different ways that you can organize your information and how to state claims. But everything we talk about today is about how to build this academic argument. I have 3 videos here that I think might help you. Now, when we look at our thesis statement, we have to state a position here, in this case on the use of Facebook groups. So if we look at your first sentence, because teachers want to communicate with students, Facebook groups should be implemented while using social talk for online collaborating. So think of the claim, your argument, as a claim plus reasons. So you want to say something like, use of Facebook groups helps learners for this reason, or because of this. All right. I mean, you don't have to use specifically those words, but you want to state a topic and some sort of reason or rationale.
The ones I found on the article?
Right, and because we're only talking about one sentence. Everything else that you talk about here is to support that idea. So in this case, Facebook groups should be implemented. So implementing Facebook groups in the language classroom. So if you want to designate language classroom, provides language learners a way to increase their social talk in collaborative learning. Something like that. Okay, I mean it's not grammatically set exactly the way it is, but that's the idea. You just stated something about Facebook groups. You said that this helps language learners to increase their social talk or increase the types of social talk in order to be more collaborative or on something like that. So that's a claim. Now everything else you state in your literature reviews there to support it. Now, so this is the idea. Something along those lines I think will get you closer to a good thesis statement, and then you can continue on here. So you have collaborative learning using Facebook. Now, integrating Facebook interactions in the classrooms. The effectiveness of Facebook groups. So you have 3 headings.
I have 4. But
For
I don't know.
considerations to take into account when implementing. So you're kind of going from the general to the, or theoretical to the practical.
And I have a question there.
Yes.
Because you told me not to mention to cite the author, but that is a citation from a web page, and I don't know how to cite it. And I read on increment that you should write.
No. I see. According to this article, blah blah blah. Collaborative learning. So all you have to do is collaborative learning occurs. Let's see. Can occur peer to peer. So collaborative learning can occur in peer-to-peer or in large groups. Then in the citation, does this have an author?
No. Well, I didn't find it. Well, I don't know how to.
Do you have it here at the bottom?
I haven't read the yet.
¿Sí lo tienes tú las referencias?
Sí las tengo en mi computer, but I have
Just be careful. Be careful. I know it's a pain in the butt.
Yes.
But trust me, it's easier. Yeah.
I will write into it.
Try to move. What I would do is move all of your references right now in here and organize them, and then go back and double check yourself. Do all citations have a reference, and do all references have citation? Let me see if I can find this real quick on the internet, and see if. Is this it?
I think.
Collaborative learning in group. Collaborative learning, group work and study teams. Collaborative learning. See, that's it wrong. You have here collaborative learning, learning communities, peer teaching, peer learning. It doesn't look familiar, right?
No.
How about this one?
Or maybe I'll do it. Well, today I write the references, and I will send you a message.
Okay.
So if you can look at the webpage and tell me if it's
okay.
And when they don't have an offer, what do you do?
Then we want to begin with the title of the website, and then the year, and then the title of the page. So they'll be there. I would start with the title of the web page.
Yeah, I will do that.
I bet this is it. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so I double checked that. Yeah, because you mentioned here peer learning and or peer instruction, and they mentioned that in that. Peer learning, peer teaching, peer instruction, pretty much the same. Well, okay, still double check that. Now you want to probably add your header too and change the font whenever you get ready to change that, as well as here, change your font. You can just select it and go up here and change it to Times New Roman, font size 12, just like you have in the rest of your text.
Well, I counted the words I have, and I only have 1,900, so I'm missing 350 words. But I don't know.
Okay.
What else?
So you're talking about collaborative learning using Facebook. Now you might want to start off talking about briefly Facebook groups, very generally, but kind of introduce the what. Think of it like organizing. Another way to think about organizing your literature review is talk about the what, perhaps the how, and then the why, maybe, or whatever, based on what you already have. Think about the question words and how they fit, and think about how you might do that. So the what would be explaining a little bit about Facebook and Facebook groups, or talk about how it's being used, or when it's being used, or why. Like, is there a what's the purpose? Are there some people that say Facebook is used for these purposes, right?
I'm not sure.
If you have that, okay. I'm not saying you need to change a lot of things, but ask yourself, all this information that you have here, ask yourself, are you answering the what? Are you answering the when? Are you answering the why? Are you answering the how? And then see if it falls into some sort of pattern in your literature review, so that you're not jumping back and forth. Maybe one paragraph the how, and then the why, and then the how, or you start first of all talking about the why without talking about the how, that type of thing. So like here you say, Facebook is a social networking site. Maybe you talk about that first. To talk about the what, right? Before you talk about maybe this, I don't know, but you say this is a social, right? Users, okay.
Because I think I started talking about collaborative learning and introduced the Facebook and the Facebook groups.
So integrating Facebook is the how. Okay, right?
That is the what, because
and collaborative learning. Now, collaborative learning, if you're talking about collaborative learning, this also could be the why. Why do they use it? To collaborate. And what does it mean to collaborate? All that. And you can even talk about concepts that, here's the thing, because you're asking about what else can you add. Talk about things like collaborative learning. What is collaborative learning? What is cooperative learning? And you get experts to support what's cooperative, what's collaborative, what does it mean? And maybe you talk about authors who support collaborative learning, what it looks like for language learners. Even though you're not talking specifically at that moment about Facebook, you later talk about Facebook and say, okay, this is an example of collaborative learning. Earlier I talked about collaborative learning. Now I'm talking about Facebook, and this is an example, and you're tying those relationships together. So you don't have to talk all about Facebook. You're talking about the key concepts, in this case, collaborative learning, cooperative learning, that the theories that link it. You can even talk about social cultural theory to a degree. I mean, there's tons of things you can talk about. A lot of theory that are conceptual that don't mention Facebook, but that Facebook it applies. It's relevant. So, yeah, think about that. And in this case, maybe you have the first heading, for example. Let's see. Social media, right? Very briefly, like social media, Facebook as a social media tool, and you just talk a little bit about Facebook, the different aspects, maybe.
Do I need to separate then Facebook from collaborative learning because I have it in one? Well, I connect.
Well,
because I don't know how many titles do we need to
all right.
have.
So you have collaborative learning,
And
then you have integrating the interactions, and then the effectiveness of Facebook to communicate. The effectiveness. All right. So, what are you referring to here with considerations?
right. Because we need to also. Well, I talk about the good aspects of Facebook groups, but I also mentioned some like drawbacks. That's not good.
All right. So let's do a quick brainstorm here. All right. So I'm gonna brainstorm. In fact, let me do it on here so you can see this in your video. All right, so we have collaboration,
And,
cooperation.
and
What else?
Ahí mismo hablo sobre Facebook in general, Facebook groups, and then I talk about implementing the Facebook interactions within the classroom. And
So Facebook in general, what else?
Facebook groups. And then the second heading, I talk about implementing the Facebook interactions within the classroom.
Implementing Facebook groups out in the class or outside the class?
In the class, because when I talk about Facebook groups, I mention how to use it like outside class.
Okay, so Facebook groups outside?
Yeah, like in general.
Outside of class.
And then I talk about how to implement the Facebook interactions within the classroom.
Okay.
Then I present the advantages, but not like advantages. So like the good aspects of using it, and then
Okay. All right. Anything else?
at the end the drawbacks. And then my research questions.
The
that's what I want to
drawbacks.
find out about it.
Okay. So now let's look here. Now let's think about an order. So one way, Facebook in general. Now when you say collaboration in Facebook, are you referring to Facebook in general or Facebook groups?
Facebook groups. And I have some
Facebook
information.
groups?
Yes, that's it.
Alright, so Facebook in general.
Because Facebook in general is just like an introduction to the
Right.
to Facebook groups. And I have some information that says the students, like even from before recent, como de antes, that they mention that they can help each other when they have discussions and well, they collaborate.
Alright, so you have Facebook in general, Facebook groups,
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook.
Yeah, well, I first start talking about the collaborative learning and social stuff, and then like the Facebook.
Okay, so
because
social.
you can use the
Alright.
learning in the Facebook groups and then
All right, so let's talk about social talk. What social talk? What are there sub? Is that a big topic? How much are you going to talk about social talk?
I didn't talk a lot about social talk.
Social.
I just mentioned what it's referring to. So social talk. Yeah, like it refers to today, so
Okay.
they can know what it's like.
All right, so we have social talk and we have collab. Now, social talk, you're referring to what, informal
Yeah.
talk?
Well,
so you could talk about formal and informal speech, or what else about social talk could? I mean, what's the benefit? What's the reason for promoting social talk using Facebook?
Well, because I have it there. The students feel like freer, more relaxed when they were connecting with each other, and it was like easier for them. That is why I choose to do social talk.
Anything else about social talk? No? Okay, so Facebook groups, Facebook in general, Facebook groups. All right, now I would say these first two, 1 and 2, are probably fairly, short. Okay, but I think it's worth talking about introducing what Facebook is and what Facebook groups are, and maybe in Facebook groups talk about the what and how in general. Like what it is and how it's used in general, for not necessarily for language learning, but just how do people, like, they have different types, maybe how they very very briefly they create it, maybe any research on what that support the types.
I think I have an article about it, but I didn't add the information there.
Okay.
And it says that you need to make a profile, then start adding people, and the teachers can create
Something, but brief. It doesn't have to be a lot. And these aren't main sections. When I put here 1 through 4, I'm not saying that this should be a main section.
Mm-hmm.
This is just kind of an order. Later you can decide what should be the main sections. But something about Facebook in general, then
Mm-hmm.
Facebook groups, the what and the how in general, and then move into Facebook groups in language learning. If you have something, so you're transitioning from the general to the specific in language learning, and maybe we're talking about one paragraph here, another paragraph here, but that's kind of the
and the
one
part
possible.
where I have the advantages, well, not the advantages, but the good aspects, I only talk about Facebook group is related to language, not like in general, just like related to.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Well, I already have, I think, information about the Facebook group.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not. What we need here is like the order, right? I'm sure it's here.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the like the order. Okay,
Yeah.
so here, let's see, Facebook groups, language learning, and then Facebook groups outside. Now, in Facebook groups in general, or in Facebook groups for language learning, you can start talking about collaborative learning. So here's the idea that you are talking about Facebook, and Facebook keeps popping up, but around a discussion, in this case, collaborative learning, cooperative learning, social talk, relaxing atmosphere, like you talk about the importance of emotional aspects of feeling, or relationships maybe between students or teachers, or that type of thing.
So first, I need to talk about Facebook and then like.
Yeah, and I'm
Link.
giving the examples. I want you to use what you already have as much as possible. So the idea is that that it's organized, and maybe this is applicable, maybe it's not, but it depends on, because I haven't read this every paragraph that what you have here, because I want you to kind of, the idea is that you have an order that it makes sense, that you're talking about this for this reason. At first glance, talking about collaborative learning using Facebook, I think you should introduce it like the what is Facebook, because I mean everybody kind of knows what Facebook but you want to briefly state what it is and then briefly explain how it's being used in education briefly, and then how is it being used in language learning. Now, the how is it being used in language learning, you can talk about collaborative learning, cooperative learning, social talk, any other concepts that you already have that relate to why someone would want to use Facebook groups for collaborative learning, or to promote helping writing skills. If you have something at the skill level, Facebook maybe helps in these types of classes as examples. I would go something like along those. Do you think you have enough information? Well, you said you still need a little bit more information, right?
Yeah, like we have the words.
Okay.
But I would change some the arrangement, and I would add some other information and add the references. So you
Okay,
can check it
integrating
again.
Facebook interactions. Because I'm guessing here the effectiveness. You say you have there's some pros and cons, right, to using some good things about Facebook groups and some bad things about Facebook groups. What I'm suggesting is, instead of leaving this at the end, integrate it into your argument here. However you decide, like for collaborative learning, okay, Facebook group, this is collaborative learning. Facebook groups is good for these types of things, but it's not so good for these types of things.
Without having
instead of having a separate section at the very end about the pluses and minuses, it's all integrated, because you're constantly going back and forth between your argument and your counter argument. What are the good things about it? Okay, and then there's some things that are not so good. Some things that are good, other things that are not so good, and you kind of go back and forth, and maybe integrate that information within the argument here, based around some logical order. Maybe in this case, collaborative learning, social talk. Maybe talk a little bit more. How much information do you have about social talk? Because it sounds like you could add a little bit more about.
Yes, I can.
And maybe it's not called social talk, but maybe it's called, informal dialogue, or forming kind of relationships through informal, something along those lines that help promote language use. If you're focusing too on classes here in the BA, these are content courses. This is academic English. If you have something on academic English, or content courses, that is courses that aren't specifically general English courses, but they're other courses like applied linguistics or social linguistics, but you're using the target language. If you have any information about that, you could include that. And finally, make sure that each paragraph goes going back to is connected, and that you are following the meal plan. And the meal plan, making sure that the topic sentence, or the main idea of each body paragraph, is your original idea, and it comes first in the body paragraph. So, for example, in this paragraph, it looks like you have a citation here. Maybe start this paragraph with the main idea, topic sentence. That is your original thought. And then you follow it up with evidence or citations that support the main idea. And even though you're quoting, try to keep everything in the third person. So, especially when you're paraphrasing, you can just paraphrase this. So, however, we must consider our students. So, however, language educators must consider, or teachers must consider, or.
So if I change like the order, I will only have to title.
Well, it depends on the titles. Do you have some examples that you're thinking about? What to?
Well, because I wanted to connect everything. I talk about Facebook and Facebook groups, and then I like, when you use the group, you can make students collaborate using social talk, and then the advantages and disadvantages. But I don't know how can I name all the information.
Yeah, I mean, so do you have, thinking about all the information you have currently, can you think of like the question words that you could classify this? Could you classify some of the information that you already have as what? Like the question, what is Facebook? I think so. What are the question words do you think that the information that you already have would follow under these categories?
What is Facebook? What is collaborative learning? What are Facebook?
But a different question word?
How?
Okay. Any
How
others?
are you used in the classroom? Why? Because there's
Okay.
reason why it's like
Okay.
that.
One way to do this is to have section 1, 2, and 3 here. You're headed.
Here I explain about everything.
Well, for example, Facebook, not everything like the concepts, but like Facebook could be like. So you have Facebook, Facebook groups, and let's see. You could talk about Facebook. All right, let's go back. What about the how? The how, what do you have for the how? Implementing Facebook?
In general, Facebook groups.
All right, so implementing Facebook or Facebook groups. And the how could be implementing Facebook groups in the classroom, implementing Facebook groups outside or vice versa, outside the classroom, inside. But all inside this how. Now the why, you could talk about collaborative learning. You could talk about cooperative learning. You could talk about social talk or any other concepts that you should define these as. And maybe you talk about the theoretical first, then Facebook, or the least important, or the more, the ideas, and then finish with Facebook in this section. See? So this would be first, and then maybe this is second. And then the how. Implementing Facebook outside the classroom. Another section, implementing inside the classroom. Then why? So what are the reasons why they do that? Okay. Now,
and there in the way, I can also add like the dropouts one.
Let's see.
Why you should implement?
Well, okay. So, all right. So maybe, or let's see, implications. Implications. So, and this is kind of related to the why. So it would be like, the good things about this is why you do it. So this could be the reasons or the pluses and minuses of doing it. Right. So then you have your 3 sections, and each of these sections you divide this up. Now you may or may not have subheadings here. It just depends on how many words. But the idea is to find ways to organize each one of these subsections. Now, just as we organized the what, how, and why, now we need to organize section 1. Okay, talk about the concepts theory first and then Facebook, or vice versa. The how, like we mentioned, implementing outside inside, and then the third, maybe the pluses and minuses or something else that you can add here that deals with the reasons or the implications or special considerations or some weird cases that you should mention or that certain experts support about using Facebook, something like that, or precautions or special considerations that should be taken, right?
I don't know like about the title, but like
The title of the
for each section because like it will
Okay,
mention
so
a
what
lot of
is-
information, so I don't know in which should I focus because in the first one I talk about the collaborative, the social. And
well, you can say for the what? Facebook and collaborative
learning.
And you talk about that. And then the second section, implementing Facebook in the language classroom or just in the classroom. And then the why, implications for using Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Something
because
like
then you can mention like that
Exactly.
what is happening.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I think this is kind of in line with what you already have. It's just kind of formally thinking about it and say, okay, this is how it needs to be organized. But do pay close attention here about how you're going to organize each one of these sections and each paragraph, and that each idea flows and is rational there within each section.
Yeah.
Okay, Kellcy. So any other questions or doubts? Make sure that you check all the announcements, that you're checking those. I'm posting information here for all the students about things that I come across. So do check those. Check week 2, forming an argument, and continue on. If you want me to look at anything next week, just send me an email. But try to finish up for February 28th. And if you have doubts, if you have doubts,
a lot of messages.
Okay, that's fine, no problem. All right, Kellcy. Well, have a good week.
You too.
Hang in there. Okay.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. You too.